Okay, I think we'll get started. If anybody else joins, obviously they can jump in as once we've got going. So let's get things going. Firstly, a little bit of housekeeping, just to inform you that this session is being recorded and will be published after the event on our YouTube channel. So if there's anything you missed, or if you've got colleagues that want to watch it back later, they can do. We'll send the link out for the recording to everybody as quickly as we can after the event. So just to kick things off, my name's Andrew Longland. I'm the managing director of HIT Technology. I'm merely playing host today, really. I've got Ariel Fagan from System1A. He's the sales director of System1A, who will be taking the floor for most of this session. But what we're here to look at and to talk about today is System1A's solution, which is all around accounts receivable automation and making the best out of what you can do with SYSPRO from an accounts receivable perspective, with some additional tools from System1A. So hopefully that's what you're all expecting to be here for. If it's not, I apologise, and I will try and come up with some different content for the next one. So hopefully you can all see the screen I'm sharing. Yeah, that's working. Yeah. So yeah, as I said, I'm Andrew, and we've got Ariel on this webinar as well. We'll be taking you through the content for about the next hour. Generally, we run on time in these webinars, but obviously it's a little bit dependent on what questions come up at the end. I haven't got any particular hard stop, so if we need to carry on to answer some more questions, we certainly can do at the end. And on that point, as this is a relatively small group of attendees, I think when we get to the question and answer session at the end, if people want to ask their questions verbally rather than sticking them in the chat, that's absolutely fine. It's probably better to do that a little bit more interactive. Okay, so before we get into System1A, just to give you all a little bit of brief background on HIT Technology. Some of you know us anyway, some of you may not. So who are HIT Technology? We're an established an independent SYSPRO partner in the UK. We're a SYSPRO Premium Solutions partner, but we've been around for 15 years now. And SYSPRO is 100% at the core of everything that we do. The business was set up to provide support and consultancy, etc., for SYSPRO customers 15 years ago, and that's exactly what we still do today. But we're a growing business. I joined the business about 2 years ago. There was about 11 or 12 people in the business at the time. We're now 16, so it's grown in those last couple of years. And that team is made up of a mix of consultants, both on the functional and the technical side, support staff, service delivery managers, project managers, etc. And we are very much focused on providing a consultative approach to everything we do. So we're not, Ariel will hate me for saying this, we're not your typical software salespeople. We don't try and force software on people just because it's the next new shiny thing. We consult with our customers to make sure that it's the right fit for them, make sure it meets their requirements, etc. But yeah, that's the way we operate. As I said, SYSPRO is 100% at the core of everything we do, but we do also have a portfolio of other solutions and services that add value to SYSPRO and are complementary to SYSPRO, System1A being one such product. There are various other ones as well. Why do customers work with HIT Technology? Well, expertise, obviously. We've been doing SYSPRO as a business for 15 years now. But the founder of the company, I probably shouldn't say how old he is, so I won't, but he's been involved in SYSPRO for somewhere between 30 and 40 years. Myself, I've been involved in SYSPRO for about 25 years, I think now. So even at the top of the tree, if you like. There's an awful lot of experience and expertise within the team, and that flows down through the entire team. I mentioned our approach to things. We work on a consultative basis. We don't we don't try and force things on customers just because that's the way that other people do it. We will work with our customers to find the right solution. And the team is full of practical problem solvers, I like to call them. Whether it be on a support ticket, whether it be in a consultative basis, in a project, we are there to try and find solutions to your issues and make your life easier. And finally, the team, the majority of the team can actually come from an industry background rather than just being software specialists or ERP specialists. They come from a background of working in customer environments, in manufacturing and distribution and engineering environments. So they understand the problems that you have. They understand your language, and most of the time they've experienced the things that you're experiencing, so they know how to help you. And I think those sort of 4 pillars, as I would call them, really do sum up why customers choose to work with us when it comes to SYSPRO as an ERP solution, and obviously some of the other solutions that we provide. So that is enough of me talking about HIT technology, because you're not really here to hear about that. You're here to talk to hear about System1A. So I shall hand over to Ariel, who will start taking you through things. Over to you.
Thanks, Andrew. So just also a big thank you to HIT Technology for hosting today's webinar, and to everyone in attendance for making the time. Just a little bit about System1A before I go into the demo. So System1A, we've been in the market for 14 years now, and from SYSPRO since the beginning. And we essentially came into the market space to centralize the functions on the accounts receivables team on one central platform. So that's areas such as your document management, customer communications, reports and analytics, and really anything else that would fall in between. Is centrally managed by one platform that pulls all the data from SYSPRO and kind of making it a unique area where that entire function can be handled from. So we look to also eliminate a lot of the traditional bottlenecks that you would typically find within the accounts receivable department, whether that's clients who are constantly badgering you for historical documents, or customers who are paying you late because they don't have their signed proof of delivery, or you can't, for example, allocate a payment to an invoice because the customer is not getting back to you on that, and a lot more, and many other data related issues that do pop up within the department. And another core area that System1A looks to provide some added value is the ability to offer data to the entire business. So whether it's the finance team or management or even the warehouse team that needs certain data available, that's where System1A looks to consolidate everything. So it's the one-stop shop for everything accounts receivable. And without further ado, I'm just going to jump straight into the demo to take you through the functionality of the platform. And if I can ask that you just take down questions as we're going through, as Andrew mentioned, we'll address that after the presentation in the Q&A session. Brilliant. So I will just go ahead now and share my screen. And sorry, Andrew, if I can just ask you to confirm that you can see the dashboard over here.
Fine. Yep.
Okay, brilliant. So this is the dashboard that you would see when using the System1A module to manage your accounts receivable function from SYSPRO. And for the purposes of today's demo, we're going to go through a month-end statement run. So all elements within the accounts receivable department and your day-to-day operations can be managed from this dashboard, and you'll see what that looks like, and the theme will be pretty similar no matter what function you're fulfilling. But for now, we're going to pretend that it's the month-end run for your SYSPRO company, and I'm going to start off by going into the age analysis. And the reason for doing this is I just want to scroll to the bottom and just check that the totals are looking correct for completeness, that payments are finished being captured, the totals are looking good, and now I'm happy to go and send out the statements. So from this point, I'm going to go back to the main dashboard and now go to send out statements. So when I go into the statement link section, whether you have 10 or 10,000 clients in SYSPRO, that doesn't make a difference. All the relevant data will populate directly, and in the click of a button, you can send off all those statements to your customers. I'm just going to go ahead and send one off to myself over here. So you can see what that looks like when the client receives a communication from System1A as opposed to coming straight out of SYSPRO. And as Andrew mentioned before, the core of HIT technology is SYSPRO. And so same thing for System1A. Our master source of data and our truth will always be SYSPRO. And we're just looking to enhance and extend the existing core functionality. So your client is going to receive a communication, an email from your SYSPRO company in this instance. It will also be branded, and it will say, attention company 12, kindly find here with your statement dated 31 March 2024. Please click on the link to see your statement and all invoices. And it's at this point that we direct the customer to their unique self-service portal. So another area that we look to focus on at System1A is just obviously getting you paid as fast as possible with as little effort as required from your end and manual intervention. So with a customer self-service portal, it's also very fitting with the times that we're currently living in, that people don't really want that human interaction as much as they did back in the day. Now they want to handle everything themselves. So your clients now will have access to all the relevant documentation as well as information required in order to settle their account with you as promptly as possible. And the beauty about the System1A portal is that it's a live feed from SYSPRO. So your client can come in and out of their portal on a regular basis and see a live view of what's actually happening inside SYSPRO. So any new invoices, credit notes, etc. will appear here. Firstly, the client can go and see a PDF version of their statement at that point in time, which can be printed, viewed, and downloaded straight from the platform. And this will be applicable to any other type of document. So an invoice as well as any credit notes, supporting documents, etc. But it's not just the current invoices. It's also the historical invoices that your clients may require. So they're no longer once again going to have to badger your finance team for historical documents or go sift through historical mails. They'll have access to all of that on their portal. So as you can see at the top here, they can go and drill down into historical invoices or statements in the click of a button. But on the face of the portal is where we include a digital version of the customer's account. So this is really a digital statement. And on a month-by-month basis, they can expand and see all their outstanding invoices. So they can once again go and view their invoice, should they wish, in PDF format, as well as the signed supporting document. So if you do make use of a proof of delivery or a job card or any other type of document that your customer may require to have associated with their invoice, System1A offers you the ability to automatically streamline that and link it on our side, both for internal purposes at your company, as well as the ability for your clients to have immediate access to them. On the portal, we also do encourage communication. So here I am sitting, I've just received this statement from your SYSPRO company, and I'm Bob coming to respond to you. And I'm going through this and saying, okay, great. I actually received these goods and they were damaged, so I'm going to request a credit note because I have now returned them. And then this invoice over here, quite a hefty one for over £300,000, should probably have some indication that we're going to be settling that one soon. So I'm going to go and communicate a payment date for this invoice. And if Bob had already settled an invoice, for example, this one over here, he can also just go there, tick the box that he's actually settled it, and there's just a timing difference, and the money should be coming into your account shortly. But once Bob has updated everything he wants to alert you about, all he has to do is go and click update. All this information will then get fed back to your users via push notification mail, so you don't have to constantly monitor the dashboard, but it will also populate on the dashboard. Before I go into any other section, I do just want to tell you about the tracking capabilities that System1A offers on a document send, and this will be applicable to any type of document delivery on the platform. So you'll notice over here with the pie charts, we can see a total count of 38, which is the number of accounts that were due to receive statements for the statement run. You can also see that we've sent one statement, but more importantly, there's been a 100% viewing rate. So your finance team now has that added insight into whether your clients are actually receiving and viewing their documentation. And this can also be seen on an account by account basis. If it was sent to the client, if it was viewed, and also the last date that it was sent to the customer. So if any clients don't open up their statements for whatever reason, we do have an automatic resend feature where you can select a specific period and our platform will automatically send out and only to the customers who don't open up their emails the first time around. This will obviously increase your viewing rate and hopefully get you paid a bit faster. Another element with the tracking is if any emails don't deliver to customers from a bounced email from their server, or if it's in an invalid email address in SYSPRO, another color would populate on the pie chart. It would say undelivered or bounced emails, and that would allow you to go to the failed emails report on the System1A dashboard to see exactly which emails didn't deliver, and then obviously address that with the clients and being a bit more proactive so you don't have to wait back from them to hear that they haven't yet received your statement. Brilliant. So that's the sending of the statement. We've seen the customer portal. And now let's see on the internal side, where do these communications populate? So firstly, any comments or queries that are logged on the customer portal will populate under the invoices with notes section. So as you recall, I asked for a credit note for this invoice. So I'm just going to reply to Bob and say, "Hi, Bob. Sure will do." The great thing about this is that you don't have to go back and forth to your mail. You can just send Bob a response straight back from the System1A dashboard. And on Bob's end, he's going to receive another mail from your SYSPRO company, and it will say reply to your invoice query with the invoice number in the subject line. And it will have the original query that was raised by Bob for a credit note and the response from your SYSPRO company. So it's just a quick professional way to get a communication over to Bob. And we have found that this also really does encourage communication from your customers in a more free fashion, as opposed to having to go and draft a brand new mail or jump on the phone to give you a ring. They're a lot more likely to communicate any issues over their portal. The same thing would apply to have paid responses if perhaps one of your users wants to go and request a proof of payment. And then the last area of communication from the portal will populate on the payment calendar. So the payment calendar is a very powerful tool on the platform, and I'm just going to quickly turn off predictions for a second. You're going to notice only one amount on the payment calendar, and that's that green amount for £320,000 on the 30th of this month. So that is the client commitment that I indicated on the customer portal. And there may be multiple amounts coming in on a day. So you can, in fact, drill down on the figures and it will break down exactly which customer has committed to paying what invoice on what day. And you can also set up reminders to go out to customers to remind them about their commitments. So we can set up reminders, for example, to go out to Bob on Monday saying, please be aware that you have committed to make a payment this week. Kindly remember to settle it. So sometimes the customers do just need that little extra nudge, even when they've made the commitment. But not all customers are going to tell you when they're going to be settling invoices. And we've been in the game long enough to know that everyone wants that cash flow forecast. So everyone's got different ways of doing this internally, but there is a very nice, powerful tool built in on the payment calendar, and it's called predictive payment analysis. And with this, we by no means reinventing the wheel. and the data is only as smart as you provide. So we would obviously, for this element of the system, require a lot of information from SYSPRO. So anything in blue on our payment calendar is System1A saying, from a cash flow forecast point of view, you can expect these amounts to come in on these days, according to the nice algorithm that our actuaries are responsible for. And anything in orange is our system saying, these amounts are flagged because they should have come in already, and perhaps you should go and follow up on them. So from a cash flow forecast point of view, once again, a very popular tool, tested on a regular basis, and it has a very high accuracy. So just to reiterate, we're working with the data inside SYSPRO. So we would require a number of years worth of history if you decide to go ahead with System1A, just to get this element of the system up to scratch. And it's a very nice tool for cash flow forecasting. That is the payment calendar, and also the last element of the system where communications come through from the customer portal. I'm now going to go back to the dashboard and take you through to the age analysis. So the age analysis is very much going to look like your standard current to 120 plus age, but quite different in the way that you can slice and dice and drill down. So firstly, you can go and split the users according to their accounts. So it's already allocated inside SYSPRO. We would have the same allocations on System1A, and you would be able to just view the accounts that are relevant to you. We also cater for multi-currency. So if you are dealing in whatever other currency outside of the UK, we do have the ability to cater for that as well. And then clients can also, sorry, not clients, but the credit and the finance controllers can go when they're collecting and, for example, highlight certain risk areas. So you would want to go and see anyone who's exceeded their credit limits, but more importantly, you would want to see who's exceeded a credit limit and has current amounts, because you don't want to be selling to people who aren't paying at the end of the day. So anything in red will indicate to you that a customer has exceeded their credit limit, and the credit limit would display when you hover. And anything in yellow is 85% of their credit limit has been approached. So just to bring these elements to highlight them and make sure that you're aware of where the riskier areas are. You can also go and view any amounts that are overdue, which will highlight in pink on the age analysis. Once again, just to bring that to the attention of the financial controller so they know where to go and focus their energy. You can also drill down into the various aging buckets. So for example, if you want to go see you're on the phone with this client, which happened to be Bob, and you got Bob on the line, and you drill down into the 90-day bucket and you say, okay, this is the one you asked for, the invoice you asked for a credit note for, but I can see you've got a POD here, so you did receive the goods. And he's like, no, I'm going to send through the courier way bill for the return of the goods back to your warehouse. So you've got all the relevant information here. You've got the contact details for the account up here. If you want to get a quick overview and see how this account has been behaving from an overall level, you do also have the ability to get a bit of a bird's eye view and check how they've been behaving from an invoicing, credit notes, collections, and discounts point of view. You do also have the ability to make notes on a global level of an account. So if users are inputting notes, the system will timestamp the note and input the user. So if anyone else needs to pick up on this account or needs to get context, you will be able to get that from this section over here. They do remain on the system indefinitely, and you can also set reminders. So for example, if I want to come in here and set another reminder to follow up with Bob at the end of the month, I can go ahead and do that and just set that, and the system will send me a email reminder to do so. So that is the ability to put notes on a global level of an account against for a specific user. You then also have the ability to download the age analysis to Excel, and most of System1A is downloadable to Excel. if you wish to use that data for any other reasons, whether filtering it further or using it for internal reporting, you do have that available. And just to show you what that looks like, because we have found that within our customer base, no matter what softwares they have in place, they do like to revert back to Excel for the age analysis. And I'm just going to have to see this open up here because it is Excel for Mac. So if you'll just bear with me for a second, I'll wait for that to load or come back to it once it has opened up. But in the interim, I am just also going to tell you about the ability of the System1A platform that retains indefinite runs on the platform. So you don't only have to view current, previous one, and previous two if you don't have something to cater for that. On System1A, you'll be able to view whatever historical statement runs were processed on the platform. Going back to the home page, and I will revisit that download when it does eventually pop up. Apologies for that. But going back to the dashboard, I'm now just going to touch on a few of the other features. For example, the client document archive is where we store all of your data on the platform for a minimum of 7 years, which is the regular requirement. And we keep everything from statements to invoices, credit notes, as well as any notes that are made on an internal or external level on an invoice basis. So you can see from a historical point of view, you can come and source any documentation you may need from this section over here. And when it does come to audit season and your accountants come with a big sample of documents that they want you to pull from multiple accounts, you can just upload that sample into System1A and we will pull all the relevant documents for that audit. So that is the client document archive. Now I just want to tell you about the proof of delivery or supporting document section. So this is a very big value add to our existing clients. As this mentioned before, the proof of delivery or supporting document is not coming straight out of SYSPRO. This is a signed and scanned document that's either in being physically filed in a filing cabinet or being scanned to a folder on a server. So this is not the easiest document to always deliver to your customers, and we will work with you very contextually to what you're currently doing in order to automate this as far as possible, because we do have lots of different ways of doing this. And essentially, at the end of the day, what you want to happen is for these documents to be fed onto System1A and automatically linking so you don't have to do any work on your side. And once the proof of deliveries are on the platform, you do get access to a number of different reports. And one of the more I suppose exciting reports for you in this section would be being able to view those unpaid invoices that are sitting without supporting documents linked to them, because a client will often use this as an excuse not to make payment. So being able to get ahead of that before month end and before the clients can use it as an excuse not to make payments is always a nice thing to do, just to ensure you get paid a bit faster. So the supporting documents section is very powerful, and both for internal users as well as on the customer portal that they can access these documents in real time as well. The mail shot feature on System1A allows you to communicate with your customers without having to go and pull a list in your email server. So you do have the ability, whether that's a urgent communication around your bank details have not changed or just a general price increases or closing dates, you can send it to a selected group of customers or to your entire customer base. We do also have a managed term reminder section, which is another move towards automation, which allows you to set up a soft reminder to go out to your customer base X amount of days before their invoices become due. So you can set up the criteria for this, and essentially what will happen is once you've selected the clients to receive this notification, the system will automatically on a monthly basis just remind them to settle their invoices before month end, just to give them a subtle nudge. We then also have a managed documentation section, which is really a digital repository where you can centrally and securely store any documents for your internal users to have access to against a customer account. So if that's a special pricing or a contract with a client, or even just a credit app that you want to keep on hand and make sure it's not going to get lost, you do have the ability to store that on the System1A platform. One of the other communication elements of the platform is the remittance section, and it's a very nifty section in the sense that it's a first attempt of getting a remittance from a customer without having to jump on the phone or send a mail. It's a very straightforward approach. This client over here I was dealing with before, company 12, they owe 389,000 pounds. They've committed to pay 324. Let's say you saw an amount that Bob had paid of 15,000 pounds and you don't know where to allocate it. All you would need to do is input the figure into the platform and our system will generate that remittance request on your behalf. So once that has been generated, the customer is going to receive another mail from your SYSPRO company. It will be subject line remittance request, and it will say, thank you for your payment of 15,000. Please click on the link to help us identify which invoices were paid. And it's at this point that we direct the customer to the remittance link, which is literally a tick box approach. So the client has access to all their outstanding invoices. They can then go in and say, okay, well, I paid 10,000 pounds towards this invoice, and they can go and give you any reasoning why it was a short or part payment, if it's an early settlement discount, and they can say this one was 5,000 towards here, and that was a part payment. So once the client has communicated that to you, the amounts do have to match or it won't let them update. But once again, once they've updated that, your users will be notified, and it will also populate on the dashboard under remittance responses, which can be viewed and then entered and allocated in SYSPRO. And that pretty much summarizes the functionality of the dashboard itself. The last topic I want to touch on is just the reporting section. So the reporting section on System1A typically looks to offer reports that you wouldn't standardly find within SYSPRO. So for example, we've got quite a few reports dedicated to credit notes. And these reports are really just there to highlight certain areas. So for example, the credit note alerts. You can go in and put in a specific threshold like 5%, and System1A will pull all credit notes that were issued for 5% of a statement total. So once again, you can adjust this as required, but essentially you don't want to be issuing heavy credit notes. So this is just to highlight those certain riskier areas. You can also go and look at a credit note recon, where our system will pull all the credit notes issued and tell you how long you took to issue them from the invoice date. Once again, it should not be taking so long to be issuing these credit notes. So those are the types of things that these reports will highlight. We do also have a report that pulls all invoices that are issued that do not have a customer purchase order number on them. Because if it doesn't have an internal purchase order number from the client, sometimes it makes it a little bit more difficult to get paid. And then lastly, under the revenue side, I'll also just touch on the turnover report because everyone likes to look at turnover. And over here, you can select your top X amount of accounts. And what's nice is you can exclude accounts should you wish. But what's more important is you can actually compare your turnover excluding the top X amount of accounts. So with this company over here, you can see they are quite heavily reliant on their top 3 accounts. You can see that management may turn around and say, listen, guys, you need to go get a lot more small accounts or a few more big ones, but we don't want to be so reliant on the top 3 accounts. So these are the type of risk areas or highlighted areas that System1A reports look to show, or I suppose display that type of data in that fashion. Next section will be the cash inflow side, where a nice report to touch on is the KPI report. So obviously those accounts will be allocated to the relevant finance member, and then you can see how well they've been collecting. So If we scroll down here, you can see that this account over here has collected already 89% of their accounts, but you can also see that they're not responsible for that many accounts. I suppose within this customer base they are, but you can see on an account by account basis what was outstanding, what's actually due per terms, and then what was collected after the statement date. So that's a nice KPI report for the finance team or just the managers to keep a hold of how well the cash is coming in. And then under the customer status side, quite a lot of reports dedicated to the sales team. So for example, you can go and look at your inactive customers, any clients who haven't purchased for 3 months or longer. You can look at your new customers if you want to give them special attention. You can go and look at your entire customer base under data statistics and group everything together to see how they've been performing. And also just to reiterate, all our reports are also downloadable to Excel. You can also go look, for example, at your top debtors, and that can be as of now or year to date, which you'll notice will shift that quite significantly. And you can obviously adjust that accordingly to how many you want to view. And then the last topic I'm going to touch on within the reporting section is the consolidated view. But before I go into that, I also just want to show you how you would have the ability to switch from company to company by just going to the top right-hand corner. For example, if you had multiple entities or different databases, you could go switch company and go from whichever database you require into the next to get an in-depth view if you want to drill down into the company. But from a reporting point of view, we do also offer that consolidated view, which would allow you to see, for example, a turnover across all your linked companies, which would be displayed accordingly, as well as the ability to go and view the outstanding invoices, really a consolidated age, once again, across all the entities. So there's a lot of stuff that System1A does with the raw data, and we just look to generate reports and I suppose that would be relevant to highlighting risk areas within a business. And that is pretty much the functionality of the System1A accounts receivable module. And I'll now open up for any questions to the audience. I hope you enjoyed what you saw.
Thanks, Ariel. I think that was really useful to see that. I know, yeah, when I, not just seeing it today, but when I've seen it previously, I've been impressed with the amount of functionality that sits within the system. So yeah, thanks for getting through so much in such a short space of time as well. It's a hard job.
Thanks, Andrew.
So yeah, if any of the audience have any questions, please feel free to take yourselves off of mute and ask away.
I'll ask a question. How does the licensing work? Is it on a sort of a pay-per-view type, or is it an annual, a monthly subscription, or an annual license, or?
Great question. Thank you, Sarah. So yeah, just to touch on that, I'll speak about the System1A model. There's two fees involved with System1A. There's a once-off setup and implementation fee, and like you said, then there's a monthly subscription fee. So the license model is strictly just that monthly subscription, and it's not driven per user. We actually do allow for unlimited users within fair usage, but it is included in the monthly subscription fee, which is driven by document volumes. So you will fit into a specific tier, and then you would be allowed to have as many users on System1A as required.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. And also just on that same topic, the implementation of System1A is also fairly straightforward. It's a very quick implementation. It's about 30 to 60 minutes on your end. And then we do that initial profile setup, and we actually also allow for a 30-day proof of concept. So once that has been completed, you can take the System1A platform, run it in parallel with what you're currently doing, and see if you derive the relevant benefit, and you can make your judgment from there before deciding to make any commitments.
Awesome.
Great,
Thank you.
Sure.
Just question from me actually, Ariel, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So if you've got multiple supporting documents to go against a single invoice, how do you handle that?
Yeah, 100% great question. So with the supporting documents, if like you say, there's more of a supporting document pack, and depending on what process you decide to use, typically the easiest way to do that with SYSPRO is to use barcoding. So we would activate a barcode font onto whatever you're using for the POD, whether that's the delivery note or the invoice, whatever the case may be. And then at the end of the day, whatever other documents you need attached to that supporting document pack can essentially be scanned in behind the POD barcoded document. So you can have the barcoded document at the front, you can have multiple documents behind it, and then as long as the next POD is the barcoded document, our system will be able to pick up that anything associated to that pack will be included and linked to the relevant invoice on System1A.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions from anyone else? Look like it at the moment.
It looks like I did a good enough job of explaining everything.
Absolutely, you've answered everybody's questions. You've preempted them already. Well done. I guess from a security and compliance point of view, I wonder, can you limit users to see certain parts of the system and not others?
For sure. Great question as well, because as mentioned before, a lot of elements of the business could potentially require access to, excuse me, to System1A. And also need to maybe fulfill document capture, whatever the case may be. And some people may need to just come in and see the age analysis. You may want sales team members. So very much so, Andrew, we can limit the sections on a user basis to the whatever detail they may require on System1A.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. I don't know whether anybody has any other questions. If not, I think we've made some pretty good time. What is the time now? Let's just check.
Yeah.
So we are a little bit early, which is great. As I say, you've got through an awful lot of content there in a very short space of time. So thank you for that, Ariel. So unless anybody does have any questions, and please feel free to just speak up now if you do. But yeah, unless anybody has any final questions, I guess it leaves me to kind of wrap up with the end of this webinar, and a big thank you to everybody that's attended, and thank you to Ariel as well for all your efforts in presenting there. Much appreciated. If anybody is interested in learning more about System1A, if you think of a question after the event and you didn't ask, or you want to see what System1A could do within your business, you want to dig into more detail, please feel free to reach out to either myself or Ariel. Our details are on the screen at the moment. Just drop us an email. We'd be glad to answer any questions you may have, or if you want to jump on a Teams call to go through anything in more detail, we can do. But yeah, no, thank you for coming along and participating in this. And unless there's anything else, we shall stop there. And yeah, you can get back to the rest of your days. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Andrew, again to you and HIT Technology for hosting, and thank you to everyone for attending, and have a great day further.
Thank you.
Fantastic.